All right. It's your boy Jay. Welcome back to another episode of Thanos Was Right. As always, accompanied by my partner in crime, the producer of all this magic, DJ D Will. What's up, brother?
What's going on, man? What's good?
Crazy week in the news, and a lot to get up to as far as getting us caught up on some of the stuff that we'd already been talking about, and then some new developments. So, with no further ado, man, let's get it cracking.
Let's do it, man. So, your boy Ye, we back with him again. I hate to do it, but he comes with the headlines. You know what I'm saying? So I want you to dive deep into Ye went to a Trump dinner, right? Just give me the breakdown of everything that went on with that.
Absolutely. It's crazy that we even back here because in our previous episode, we snapped Ye away, right? Like he got dusted because we were done with him, right? Like you just
I kind of kept him around on my end. So
you did.
I kept him around. Let's see. Let's see at the end of the show what I feel.
Yeah, we wouldn't have a show today if it wasn't for Kanye. Right. So your boy Ye travels down to Florida, goes to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Mr. Trump, his number one, his BFF, to have a little dinner, catch up, see what's going on, and in that dinner, or during that dinner, Ye brought a little surprise guest, a little friend, and someone who is a huge Donald Trump fan. Donald Trump wasn't expecting it, but Donald Trump just seemed to be really happy with this guy because this guy was telling Donald Trump, during the dinner that he's an American hero. And that, he needs to get back to the old Trump style of just going off script. He felt that Trump has gotten soft by, following teleprompters and, bending to, political pressure or social pressure. And now he needs to just get back to the old school Trump that just told it like it was and said whatever was off the cuff. And, we know that's code for, say the racist shit that's on your mind because we're all thinking it, but you have the gravitas to say it. So anyway, Trump's loving this guy, right? Trump's pointing at Kanye like, who is this dude, man? He's awesome. Turns out the guy is Nick Fuentes. If you don't know who that is,
I don't.
Let me learn you real quick. Do it like the old brothers do.
Learn me on this Nick Fuentes guy, man.
So Nick Fuentes is a super duper alt-right white supremacist, Holocaust denying white dude.
Wait, hold on. You just told me a few stats on him. So why the fuck is Jay even with this guy? What do you think?
I don't even know how those worlds sort of intersected. I got a feeling we're gonna get there, like as we play this thing out. But from what I understand, Ye is really leaning into the anti-Semitic or the anti-Jewish rhetoric like real hard, right? So rather than taking Kyrie's approach of being maybe apologetic, Ye is doubling down on the shit. And the best person to ride with is someone who is outwardly anti-Jewish, everything, which is odd too, because his last name Fuentes, and I'm finding it very difficult that a lot of these cats are with these very ethnic last names, Spanish, maybe it's just European Spanish, are really coming out as like being super racist. But this dude has crewed up with Ye. To give you a little bit more background on him, he's not just like a journalist or something like that. Like this dude is on like Alex Jones level of like bad CGI, TV podcasts, QAnon, like the whole deal. Like this dude is one of those cats. He's young, he's dangerous. His rhetoric is off the chain. If you watched his last show at post midterms, it talks mostly about like how we need to be living in a dictatorship because we live in a godless country that likes sodomy and abortion. He said we like abortion. Like, who likes abortion, right? Like, who's out here like signing up enthusiastically for abortions? Like, he said, but he said shit like that. Like, we like homosexuality. We like so much shit that he's like, if we had a dictator, like with his views, we could just make all of that go away so people wouldn't even have the choice to like things. That's where he's at. Like, he's on that level. Only a narcissist like Kanye West could be associated with someone and not feel like he isn't one of the marginalized groups that this dude doesn't like, but rather could use somebody like this to help further their political career. So, or at least or at the very least stay relevant, right? Like, let me just find somebody to crew up with that's going to keep me in these newspapers. So anyway, this is that dude. Donald Trump's old ass had no idea who this guy was. Yeah. Now, whether or not Trump would have even, shut this guy down or, asked him to leave, that's a whole nother conversation. The fact of the matter is that Trump has an image issue right now, largely as a result of the midterm elections. Like, we saw that people who were crewed up with Trump did not do well. Yeah. The election deniers, the Carrie Lakes of the world, the Dr. Oz's, like these Trump appointed, representatives, they shit the bed. Yeah. And the Republican Party is like, look, man, we should probably distance ourselves from Cat Tour like that because, we trying to beat Joe, right? And it's going to be even harder because we didn't get the Senate. We actually lost the Senate seat. So Donald Trump has an image issue. I'm sure he's conscious of it, but he couldn't be bothered with doing any sort of research or the people around him. So he let this asshole in, and now they're all tied together. But I haven't even got to the best part. The reason they went to see Donald Trump was, if you could believe this shit, was to let him know that Ye was running for president and to ask Donald Trump to be his running mate.
You gotta be fucking shitting me. So, you know what? I would just love to just be able to see that. You remember you talked about the other day? You hit me with like, you had the kids watching Naked Gun and the beginning scene. He
right
to Beirut and he was just fucking the UN of bad guys secret meeting dinner like or luncheon. Yeah. I can imagine. Right. I picture that whole setup in my mind when you gave me the breakdown of what's going on. And I would just love to have a seat at that table just to see what the fuck was happening.
Dog, it gets better. It gets better. So before Ye even mentions this shit to Trump gets a phone call.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what it's about, or I guess Ye didn't know what it was about, but the way that Kanye explains it is that Trump's tone completely changed. And these are accounts from Kanye West. He did a debriefing. We'll get to that. Yeah. But and so I'm just telling a story for the purposes of the audience. So Trump gets a phone call right when his cronies roll over to him and like, hey, blah, blah, blah. So Trump comes back and now he's upset with Ye, right? He's not feeling him. The energy has changed. We're just assuming at this point Trump knows why Kanye's there. And so now he's just talking him off the ledge, right? Like, look, don't run for president, right? This is going to be a waste of time. You're only going to go out here to try to split the vote. Nobody's going to take you seriously. And, then he starts trashing like Kim Kardashian, which again, this is Trump just being tone deaf at this point because, out of all the shit that's gone on with Kanye, the one thing that he holds firm to is his love for Kim and his children. So Trump starts trashing Kim, probably thinking that this would convince Kanye that he's an ally. Right. It only just infuriates Ye. And, it was talking about, I forgot the sister that he had gotten out of prison in regards to just, some trumped up drug charges or whatever. And this was a big initiative for Kim Kardashian. And Trump was just like, well, I didn't do it for Kim. I did it for you. Just all these things to try to convince Kanye, like, do not run for president, right? Like, you're just going to fuck everything all up. So that happens. So Ye was basically like, all right, whatever, man. Like, dinner over, good seeing you, we out. So they leave, and Kanye immediately does a live stream of like a debrief from that meeting, which, I mean, I can't even believe he did that, because usually that shit is like top secret. But Ye obviously doesn't play. He didn't get the conservative politician's handbook, right? Like, he do whatever the fuck he want. So he's sitting there with a videographer, right? So obviously this shit's planned. Maybe he's making another documentary. I don't know. So he tells us, the audience, everything that I just told you, with the exception of like how I was able to illustrate to you Nick Fuentes. Because again, if Trump knew who he was, shit, if Kanye knew who he was, he probably wouldn't have been there. But anyway, so he's breaking it all down. This shit is terrible. He truly believes that he can win. I'm going to remind you and our subscribers, Kanye West got 60,000 votes the last time he ran for president. I know that sounds like a lot.
60,000?
It is not. D, I could write you in on a ballot for United States president, and you would get more than 60,000 votes. Kanye's last concert probably had 100,000 people at it, which meant that every person that went to that concert wouldn't have voted for Kanye West. You know what I'm saying? It's a joke. I'm just trying to put this in some context for you. Ye's, pride would not allow him to think that he could do anything less than win this whole thing, which I think the last time a president won, which was Joe, got something like 9 million votes or something like that. So he's a little off. But anyway, another video surfaces of Ye, this was kind of like his coming out party, where he's walking around a Balenciaga like plant, right? They're doing designs and stuff like that, and he's showing off some of his merch, and it says Ye 24 on it. And so the videographer who is following him, and it has the same aesthetic, so I'm guessing it looks like he's doing a documentary, asks him, hey man, are you running for office? And before we get to that point, there's another person in the video kicking it with Ye, and it's this cat, Milo Yiannopoulos. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Milo, whatever.
Milo, yeah, give me a break on this. I'm doing my best. He's not the most famous guy, but if you follow any sort of like right-wing politics, he's a player, right? He's out there. He's a pundit. He goes on these shows. He is not well respected in any particular way, although he did make it onto my boy Bill Maher's show a few years back.
Was he at this dinner too with Kanye and Nick?
He wasn't at the dinner, but this is why it's significant, because he's another one of these Alex Jones, super alt-right, white supremacist, anti everything that's not white dudes. Yeah. Who has he's very conservative. Now he's a Brit, so he brought his UK conservatism over to American television and crewed out with all the crazy people over here, just because it's easier, it's more popular, and he gets more more clicks, right? So he's part of that Alex Jones crew again. But again, here's another figure who is also a Holocaust denier, an anti-Semitic figure, kicking it with Kanye. So again, we've gone from, hey man, just food for thought, to this is straight up, this is how I feel, and I'm doubling down on this shit. So, and this guy's talking about he's gonna be Ye's campaign manager, which is even scarier.
Let me ask you something real quick.
Go ahead.
You think Kanye sought these brothers out, or did they come looking for him?
That's an excellent question. I honestly don't know. This is the craziest group of a collection of people that I could ever imagine that would come together.
And then you sprinkle in Trump in there a little bit since they had the meeting. It's like,
so
what's going on? You know,
there's one wild card here that's worth discussing, and it kind of came up, and I only know about it because I follow her on Twitter.
Yeah,
but Candace Owens went on this rant a couple of days ago, maybe 2-3 days ago, about how she's not involved with this at all. She has been associated to all three, and there's a suggestion that she orchestrated them all coming together in attempts to take Trump down specifically.
Yeah.
Now, why is this relevant? Well, there's a couple of reasons why this could be the thing. Number one, Candace Owens and Trump had a falling out. And we kind of discussed that in the last podcast that we did. The other thing is that, and also she's a very strong supporter of DeSantis down in Florida, running for 2024.
Yeah.
The other thing is she's a staunch supporter of Kanye West. The whole White Lives Matter shirt thing in Paris, and even coming out in his support in terms of freedom of speech and what he should be able to articulate as a person of color about other marginalized groups, and then being part of like that circle of like, because like they like to sprinkle the Uncle Toms in with these alt-right speakers at these like conventions and shit like that, because it riles up their base, and then there's even a black person agrees with us, so we must be right. She's one of those people that they cherry pick and will bring onto these conferences, so she knows these dudes, right? Like, so they're in their circle. So there's some logic to building a coalition of like young alt-right, multi-diverse, or I shouldn't say multi-ethnic crew, because it's almost the antithesis of Trump at this point, who is just like an old, stubborn white dude who clearly has been leaning more towards the center in order to, try to sort of consolidate his base and take out Joe, because that's Joe's thing. No matter how much the right tries to paint Joe as this super progressive liberal, like super leftist, Joe is more of a centrist, right? He's old school liberal, right? He's more left center. And they've been trying to paint Joe like this shit for years. They just can't do it. And because of that, Republicans are more open to hearing the things that Joe has to say. His message obviously resonated in the midterms. It's how we were able to maintain seats in the House and pick up a seat in the Senate. So Trump's logic here is that, maybe I need to get a little bit more towards the center so that I can absolutely show like a diametrically, opposition that people would at least listen to. And Candace's team is more of like, no, we super right, and we don't do that shit around here, right? So like, there would be some logic to putting those two things together.
Yeah.
Having that said, Candace wants nothing to do with this shit. She's just like, I bet these dudes a couple of times. I'm friends with Kanye, but I got nothing to do with putting these people together. I am not, building a crew to take down Trump.
Right.
And it even felt like unsolicited, right? Because like I never saw anybody suggest that she did that, or that she was, but she felt it necessary to just get in front of the story and be like, nope, I'm out. Leave my name out of this shit. I'm not involved. Also, she felt it necessary to like confess the fact that like her husband owns Parler. Are you familiar with Parler?
Isn't that platform that didn't Kanye West, he owns that now, or?
Well, I think he was gonna buy it, but Parler, like when Twitter started coming down on hate speech, obviously Donald Trump was number one on their list amongst other people of influence, and so the conservatives felt like all social media is left leaning, left leaning, and so they needed a platform where they can say all the hateful, racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic shit that they want without being held accountable. So they're like, well, let's just make our own social media platform and we'll call it Parler. Donald Trump was all behind this too. He was pumping up Parler. And I guess I never knew this, but Candace Owens' husband is the one who created the shit. Well, I guess it's not doing well. And so there was some notion that
you didn't subscribe to do research, did you? I'm just wondering. Have you
no, I never joined. Although in retrospect, maybe if it was doing well, I would have joined it just so I could see what these motherfuckers was talking about. But
I mean, based on this show, man, it might be good to see.
Yeah,
I might going on that platform, kind of. Not saying you're doing it for your own personal gain or benefit, but you know what I mean, just to get some insights of what we talk about.
But it would be for my own personal gain or benefit.
But you're not going on there because you want to hate speech. No. That's not me. Like, yeah.
But it is, so you know me, right? Like, and this audience should know me by now, right? Like, I am not your typical liberal, right? Like, I actually welcome opposing views, opposing thoughts. I like to be educated on conservative points of view, because sometimes it either reaffirms my stance, or I maybe have my mind changed about things. You know, like socially, I'm as liberal as it gets, right? I believe in free love. I smoke weed, right? Like I'm that guy. But fiscally, I'm very conservative, right? Like, yeah. I don't believe in a lot of these, windfall programs and social programs that we have that incentivize people to not work or get an education. I don't like that shit. So I do consume conservative media, probably not at the frequency that I consume liberal media. But maybe a lot of that has to do with what Kanye is talking about, right? Like, I just don't have a choice. We all consume liberal media because a certain group of people own most of the media that we consume. But joining something like Parler, to me, would give me another outlet in which to hear people be honest. And I think that's what we need more of as a society, right? Like, we just need people's honest perspectives so that we can have discourse. We can't have a dialogue. I can't have a conversation with you if I don't know where you're coming from and you're not being honest with me, right? Like, don't placate me, don't pander, to my views just because I'm passionate about something and you don't want to hurt my feelings. Yeah. Like, that's not benefiting either of us. So I do think that people should, having that said, right, there's limits. Because, one of our subscribers might hit me back, oh, what about that QAnon shit? Yo, man, that's just crazy. And I don't subscribe to any of it. And I'm not recommending that anybody does. Their right to do that shit, though, I support it. Because it's how they feel. As long as it does not escalate to the point of violence, which we've seen that it does.
Right.
And obviously that's where I draw the line, right? Like, nobody should be hurt. No one should be killed based on how we have conversations and be honest with each other. But I'll tell you this, Christians got a lot of nerve judging people on speech and literature that leads to other people being hurt, harmed, disenfranchised, all those things. Right. You know what I'm saying? That whole, throw casting the first stone bullshit, right? Like, don't get up on your soapbox and preach about hate speech when you subscribe to a institution that has reinforced notions of slavery or hate crimes against the LGBTQ community, or disenfranchised people of color, or have bastardized other religions or raped people of their religions in the name of yours. So no one has the moral authority in this space, right? It's just only when it affects you do we run back to our corners, our red and blue corners, and say and then wag our finger at the other team. So that was, man, I just went off on a whole tangent about that, but I felt that it was necessary, right? Because our show is about discussing both sides, right? Both perspectives. And you could walk away from here and believe in whatever you want. The only thing that you know is that when you tune in, you're going to hear both sides. Right. There's an explanation. It might not be a good one, but there is one. And, Candace Owens comes up a lot on our show. My wife hates that because she can't stand Candace Owens and they share the same name. But the reason that she finds herself relevant on our show sometimes is because
of last episode when you was like, your political baby.
Political baby. Because she's like a walking, talking enigma, right? She's a contradiction of herself and everything that our political landscape represents. And she tends to find herself in the middle of the shit that we keep talking about, right? Like, you gotta find this drop in that Godfather clip, man. Every time we try to get out, they fucking pull us back in. We did not want to do a show about Kanye West 3 weeks in a row or 3 episodes in a row.
Yeah, I know. I was
just keeps delivering, and this is what the show is about. And if it matters, then we have to talk about it. Kanye West was in a process of purchasing Parler, a failed conservative, effort to create a platform where they can be racist. Yeah, Kanye was in on that, and Candace Owens had a big part of facilitating that deal because there were some financial gains for her to be made as well. And she's denying that shit too. And you know how people tell on themselves, right? Yeah. Like when you roll up on your kids, and you just got that look on their face and they just start confessing shit that you didn't even know about. That was that was Candace Owens' rant about not having anything to do with Ye and Fuentes and Milo and Trump. And oh, by the way, that whole Parler thing about my husband selling his company to Kanye West, I ain't had nothing to do with that either. It was like, well, now you're starting to sound a little guilty. So
yeah. What I mean, you think, I know you sent me some stuff, a few tweets. You feel like she's kind of leaning towards supporting more her own kind now, more Black folks than
I think opposing. Yeah, I think so. We watched her. We watched Ben Shapiro, who is somebody I bring up every now and again, and we'll probably get into him a little bit more on later episodes. We watched those guys kind of grow into their own person, their own brand. Yeah. They leveraged conservative America and their desperation to bring in minorities to become stars. Now they have their own platforms. And so I think now they're free to speak a little bit more openly. Yeah. But I will say that Candace Owens is also an opportunist. And so her job is to just stay relevant. And I think that she will accept any space where there's a vacuum for that, right? Whether it's the villain or the hero, she's willing to slide into that space. And then she's intelligent enough to defend her point of view, no matter what it is. We have a friend who does this, right? His name is Keena Parrish. Yeah, Keena, I'm calling you out. We affectionately call him Doc for a reason that I don't think we could ever talk about on TV.
He'd have to explain why the name, but yeah.
But Doc, who is my brother, one of my favorite people on the planet, is what we like to call a contrarian. Right? He likes to argue, man, and he's intelligent enough to defend his point of view no matter which side he chooses. Yeah. And some people are just that way. They love it, right? They just, you know what? Devil's advocate. What if this? And then everybody's like, come on, man. Like that's any little hole. Hear me out. And then it starts dropping knowledge, and you just like, damn, Jason Whitlock does this, right? Like, we cannot stand this bastard. Like, I hate everything about him, except that dude be dropping jewels sometimes. And I'm like, damn, that's a good one, right? Like, you actually made a good point here. Yeah. Now, I do think that Jason Whitlock's a piece of shit, and I don't think that he's looking to just fill whatever space. And the irony of that is sometimes he does play hero, because I agree with him on certain things that I can't articulate properly, and he can nail it, and I'm just like, damn, man, I wish I would have said it that way. So I think that that's what Candace is trying to do. But I don't think that it's coming from a genuine place. She's superficial. She's out here to get this bread and continue to build a brand, and whatever that does for her, whether that pushes her up the political landscape to the point where she can run for office sometime in the future, because she's still, quite young.
Yeah.
I think that's her goal, right? And whichever team it's for, as long as she can get the money, I think that's what she's going out for. So sure. I don't buy most of her bullshit now.
All right. Well, I got before we do our snapping away, I want to run down some quick hitters for you, man. Brittany Griner, man, what you think is gonna happen with her, man? You said is she worth trading a basketball? Is a basketball player worth an arms dealer?
Yeah. I remember reading that article, and thinking to myself, wow, what are we willing to give up to get a basketball player? So it wasn't even about Brittany Griner. It was like, if this was Jordan, are we willing to give up a person who is selling nuclear weapons to our enemies to get back a basketball player who's just really good at basketball, right? Like, who committed a crime, by the way. Let's not ignore the fact that Brittany Griner did commit a crime. She didn't get kidnapped by the Russian government. Now, that's not to say that the crime that she committed is worth what she's going through, because it's total bullshit. And she's just being used as a political pawn, and we want Brittany Griner home. I think that there's a diplomatic solution to making this happen. The war in Ukraine is the only reason she ain't home right now, to be honest with you. It's just a big middle finger to Putin. But giving them arms dealers to get her, I don't know the answer to that. It just doesn't feel equal. These are people who probably should be in prison for the rest of their lives. I don't even know if Russia wants them back. I just think that they want to make an ass of us by even pondering the question as to whether or not to trade arms dealers for a basketball player. And so I found it absurd, but it was certainly something worth discussing. I get my initial instincts are no, let's find another solution. But, I guess I'm just not as passionate about this. And people might call me, either sexist or, if it was LeBron, you would do it. But they're probably right. I would do it for LeBron. I like LeBron. I guess that's just, fuck it. Yeah, I do it for LeBron. So I guess we should do it for Brittany then.
You crazy.
Because I need these Lakers, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I know you out in LA and you want the Lakers. If she played for the Sparks, what would you be thinking to say, hey, we need to get Brittany back ASAP?
If I was a Sparks fan, we're gonna make these playoffs, I need Brittany back. You know what I'm saying? So give them the arms dealers. We'll go get
You remember, all right, here's another one, man. It's two of them, but it kind of plays together because it involves women. The first one I sent you I think it was a picture from IG. It was about these women was at a cannabis convention, right?
Right.
And these guys showed up. So they're part of this group called Black Women. What is it? Not Black. I'm sorry. Buy weed from women. Or for women, I think buy weed from women, right? Yeah, so it's basically women coming together, gotta try to in the weed industry, cannabis industry, and they want people to support them in their endeavors and weed growers and entrepreneurs that's female,
Right.
So these guys came in there. They got a shirt that says "Buy weed from rich white men," and they went to their booth and just kind of
Trolled the
antagonized
shit out of them.
trolled the shit, basically. I mean, so my thoughts was, what do you think behind these guys kind of like their approach and,
So I'm a marketer.
Yeah.
By trade. If I wanted to bring attention to my efforts,
yeah,
I would have hired these motherfuckers to do that shit. Right. Republicans often criticize or accuse liberals of hiring crisis actors. You familiar with this term?
It sounds familiar. Yeah.
All right. So when the riots kicked off, when the Black Lives riots, here I go. I'm using their fucking words.
Yeah.
When the peaceful protests, the Black Lives Matter protests were happening, they were not riots. Some riot shit was happening in the background. And they were like, oh, Antifa, this, or, and then when it was clearly like some white supremacist shit, they were like, well, you know what? These are just Democrats hiring actors to amplify a hate message so that they would garner more support.
Yeah.
And they do this all the time, right? Like anytime somebody, some hate shit comes on, it's, oh, those are actors. Anyway, the only reason I bring this up is because in something like this, it's horrible, right? It's some over the top, deplorable shit. So over the top that it's plausible that they were part of the process, right? The marketing behind this.
Yeah.
If I really wanted to amplify, so if these sisters just went there and just said, hey, buy weed from women or buy weed from Black women, it would, it's nice. It's a great gesture, right? Nobody's going to have a problem with that, particularly because the cannabis industry is dominated by white dudes, and it shouldn't be, right? Because we're owed this. Black people should own this market. We're the ones who are doing the most time in prison for the shit. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. But it would have been a nice little, puff piece on the back page of the New York Post or some shit like that, right? But insert assholes, right? Insert like privileged white assholes to the scenario. And now this is a national news piece. This is front page shit. This is a conversation starter. This is a thing that made people research, well, how do I do this, right? How do I start buying weed from Black women or just women in general?
Right.
I don't know that they were crisis actors. The only thing that I know is that I'm glad these motherfuckers showed up, because what it did was amplify a message that needed to be amplified, brought some deserving attention to the fact that women do exist in this market and they should be supported, and did it in a way that they probably couldn't have done in a vacuum. So, overt racism, I'm very skeptical of. I got to be honest with you, right? I just still think that racists are cowards and they like chilling in the cut. And every now and again, you get a Charlottesville, parade. Yeah. But most of this shit is done, in the shadows.
So you thinking that this could have possibly been a brilliant marketing scheme on their end?
If it wasn't, then shame on them. They should have. They should have done. At
the end of the day, it worked in their benefit. Basically,
it worked in their benefit, and you couldn't have asked for a better outcome. So whether these guys showed up, on their own fruition or is it volition, and or a marketing team brought them in, it worked and I loved it. And but that's just how my brain works. I didn't immediately get offended by this shit. I just thought, oh, great, what a great marketing opportunity there is here.
All right, let me on this last part, man, and then we can jump to the snaps. This is from a TikTok. I'm gonna play it real quick. I think you checked it out. It's involving women as well in the voting process. So let me play it real quick for you.
Go for it.
You ruined everything, you stupid bitch. You ruined everything, you stupid bitch. You're just a lying little bitch who ruins things and wants the world to burn. Bitch, you're a stupid bitch.
Basically, that was the clip of basically they had the numbers of the voting numbers in Georgia as far as women goes.
Yeah.
And who they voted for and who they, obviously they were supposed to come out. You talked about it, I think, last episode, but
yeah,
just want to follow up. And this was from a white woman that's basically saying these white women were supposed to have our backs as far as this, stick with our women's rights and not,
absolutely.
Going the other way and getting rid of abortion and other whatever happens, after this. But all the other women, just pretty much majority of the white women, bailed out and voted Republican anyway, and voted for people who was against, the women's rights and everything like that.
Absolutely. I watch Handmaid's Tale, and one of the big takeaways from that show, if you don't watch it, and I highly recommend it, that show is incredible, is that the only way that movement was able to happen in Handmaid's Tale was to get women involved. And women don't support women, not in a way that they should. That was the theme of our discussion before. Yeah. But this was just a very good illustration of the fact that, look, Black women voted for Stacey Abrams, Black men voted for Stacey Abrams, metropolitan men and women voted for Stacey Abrams, but suburban white women overwhelmingly voted against Stacey Abrams, which was absolutely, you could see if it was 50-50, but it was in the high 90s. And that, again, is one of those things where, and they had the numbers too, right? Like their demographic is larger than all those other demographics combined. The fact of the matter is that some things trump womanhood. Women put other things over being a woman a lot. And I think that's where the lack of support comes from. They put race, religion, creed, sex, just everything. When I say sex, I mean sexual preference over being a woman. And this was another illustration of that. And again, it was a white woman. This wasn't a sister out there. This was a white woman saying, look, I represent these women, or these women represent me, but didn't vote in our best interest. They voted against a woman, right? Because they could not get past the fact that maybe she was Black, or maybe that she was a Democrat, or maybe she was, whatever. All those things were more important than the fact that this was a woman talking about protecting women's rights. Yeah. They couldn't get past that shit. So, we brought it up. I saw those numbers a while ago, but hearing this lady articulate it from her perspective made it more powerful. Right. And, we have to have a show dedicated to that, I think, because a lot of times our conversations go into that direction. But as men, it's irresponsible for us to really, to chime in on that stuff as often as we do without having representation from a woman. So we got to set that show up, but this is definitely, it's on par. We see it a lot. We saw it with Hillary, it keeps happening.
It sucks that it goes that way, man. We definitely will touch that. So let's be in the home stretch. Let's go down the list, man. I'm gonna kind of break down what we discussed earlier.
Perfect.
And I'll give you my thoughts. We really here for your thoughts. So
it's time for the dusting, baby. Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. So let's talk about your boy Trump real quick, man. So he had this dinner again, right?
Yeah.
Now, what was this dinner just to talk about his president candidate that he's running again, or he was just having some shit going on?
I think Trump and Ye have a relationship, and I think they felt it necessary to talk about, maybe this upcoming election, what I need from you. Because this is Trump thinking, as soon as I say I'll run, all my devotees are going to come rolling up and find out, where they stand and what they can do for me to help me win.
Yeah.
So, Ye reaching out to him, he's thinking, okay, this is the same thing. So Trump is trying to consolidate his power. He's having a little meeting. He didn't expect Ye to roll up in there and be like, well, I'm running too. And he certainly didn't expect to meet this kid, Fuentes. But Donald Trump, I can't dust him. I mean, if we're at that part of the show, we cannot dust Donald Trump. We're going to need this dickhead in order to win another election for the Democrats. So,
I was going to ask you, because I want you to base it off of Donald Trump.
Yeah, just
in
Trump.
That setting. In that setting.
I'm enthusiastic. I'm overwhelmingly in support of Trump running for president and getting the gang back together, and all the idiots coming out of the box, and him being boisterous and saying inappropriate and unprofessional shit. I'm here for all of that. Please bring him back in a major way. Yes, we keeping Donald Trump.
All right, so you keeping Donald Trump. All right. No. I like it. I like the entertainment, so I don't mind him running. I'm not saying I want him to win, but
no, hell no.
Yeah. I don't mind him running and keeping us with some with some content going. So you're right.
Yeah, he's gonna give us content, a lot of it, and he will be the reason that we win.
Right.
You know, especially if Joe runs again. I need a Trump. I need Trump there. So Nick Fuentes, if we're gonna move on to him.
Yeah, let's move to Nick Fuentes for sure.
This guy's a fucking lunatic, dude. Like, he is, I mean, he's on that Alex Jones level. I have zero interest in ever discussing this dude ever again.
He looks like a dickhead too, man.
Yeah, he's a crazy person, dude. He was relevant for the context of this conversation that we had to have today, but like, I can't dust this motherfucker fast enough. Like, he needs to not exist on our planet. It would be so much better without him. So yes, from my point of view, he gets a dusting.
Yeah, reading up on him, I was kind of Googling him and going through some of the stuff they got on him. Yes, he has to go, man. I approve the dusting.
I need a gauntlet, like, at least right. So all right, Ye got a pass because we couldn't agree, right? And so nobody gets dusted unless we on the same page. So Ye is around. I'm kind of with you now, right? Like, he continues to amaze me and deliver more relevancy to our conversation. If our show is about the intersection between hip hop and politics, who's a better fucking ambassador for that?
Yeah, so, you're right.
Yeah, right. So I'm with you. If you have no objections, we definitely keeping Ye on the planet.
Yeah, we need him around because I need to see where this plays out too, man.
We need him around too, because we're gonna get there, but I'm telling you, man, there's some shit happening in the Republican Party with the anti-Semitics like kind of raising their voice a little bit, and because it's a huge, massive Jewish influence in on the right. And at what point do those ties start to get broken? You know, this is where I brought up Ben Shapiro, right? I'm gonna talk about him a little bit more as we move forward, but like, he's a player in this too. And him and Candace used to be like this, you know, and he's defended Kanye in the past. So we're gonna see how long that shit goes.
All right. So Kanye survives another 2 weeks. All right, for sure. Let's go to Milo.
This guy Milo. Milo's a lunatic, like Fuentes. I don't see any reason why we ever need to talk about this piece of shit ever again on our show. He is a race baiter. He is a anti everything. And he's one of those people that make the world a terrible place. Not a terrible place, but he's working towards that. So I would dust him in a heartbeat. I hope we never have to talk about him ever again.
Let me read an excerpt from I follow Sean King on Instagram. He kind of,
that's my dude too.
He stays in lines with a lot of things that's going on all fronts, you know. So let me read something real quick. He says, I have to talk about this, unfortunately. The man that Kanye is with, he has a picture of standing with this guy, right? He says, Milo, you're not, whatever you pronounce his last name. I'm gonna just say Milo Y, right?
Right.
He is not only one of the most poisonous bigots in the world, he has directly caused tremendous harm to my entire family. So none of the shit he did before, but he's targeted this guy personally. So he said it was this man that planted the lie that I am a white man pretending to be black. Directly harassed me for years. He got famous off of it. He is literally banned on every single social media platform for his overt white supremacy and harassment of Black people. After literally bragging about pedophilia and saying that he approved of it between men and boys, he was not just forced out of Breitbart. He had a book deal and more concealed or canceled, shall we say. This is who Kanye spends time with. Kanye is a Black white supremacist.
First of all, shout out to Sean King. Always dropping knowledge. Dope.
Sure.
Let's just unpack. I know we're going to stretch the show out, but he said something that was absolutely profound to me. This dude got kicked out of, he was too out there for Breitbart, dog. Breitbart. This is Steve Bannon's company, right? Yeah. Steve Bannon might be QAnon. And this guy, or might be Q. And this guy was too out there for him and his team. I know you're not a superhero guy, but I'm gonna drop some superhero now for our fans. Yeah. So in the last episode of the Dark Knight series, the Christian Bale wins. He had to fight Bane. Bane he's a badass, man. The reason Batman is such a badass is because he learned all his fighting skills from a crew called the League of Shadows. These dudes are just the top-notch assassins in the world. But they crazy, right? They're terrorists. They shut shit down. Batman left from them, obviously to become a vigilante for good. But Bane was so fucked up. He was too extreme for them. They kicked Bane out of the League of Shadows. Like that's how bad Bane was.
Yeah.
To be kicked out of Breitbart News for being too extreme, what are we talking about here, man? Like this dude, yeah. And for Ye, again, this is sometimes your hubris gets so, he's just so pumped on himself that he feels completely unaffected by surrounding himself with people who like inherently hate him, like everything about him. Other than the fact that he's famous and he can put them on, he provides a platform for them. Anyway,
I really need to see, like, I don't like that he's hanging with these dudes, but I need to know what is he trying to do? What's his end goal? What's his end result that he's looking for? He's using these dudes as a pawn to get in office? Right. Let's say, does he get in? Does he keep these assholes around? Or
yeah, I hope by the end of season 1 we get that answer.
Right, so.
We won't.
Let me just give a quick stats from Sean King that he had on Nick Fuentes too, real quick.
Go for it.
He not only said that this dude is literally a neo-Nazi, white supremacist, and a Holocaust denier. So he's also one of the most popular, biggest in the world right now. Okay, he said, here's a couple of things. He said, this guy said he compared the murder of Jews in the Holocaust to baking cookies in the oven. He basically said every single hate monitoring organization in the world has labeled him as dangerous, as the most dangerous white supremacist. So he's
bad, right? He's on the feds list of like white supremacist hate leaders. So like this dude is a registered white supremacist. You know what I'm saying? Like a car carrying. Yeah, dangerous is probably an understatement for cats like
these two dudes are so bad that we keep it Kanye and Trump and dusting these dudes off.
Yo, Kanye's team makes Donald Trump look like Betty White, dude. Like you will take Trump if you ain't got to deal with these. I'm telling you, they are providing a lot of content for our show and what it's about. And it keeps getting layered because, man, we just started with just Kanye in a vacuum, just talking and shit. Then somehow Kyrie got involved, right? Next thing you know, dude, we got white supremacists on the team, right? And Donald Trump weaseled his way back into the conversation.
Right.
So, dog, we still waiting to find out if Herschel Walker going to be senator in Georgia.
Right.
Dude, dog, we could do this show.
And next thing you know, it's gonna be some arms dealer out of nowhere that the Russians wanted to get out. He's gonna be free on some
absolutely
shit. It's getting crazy, man. And it's a lot of content to talk about.
Yeah, this show came out at the exact perfect time. Like I couldn't even imagine holding all this shit in, right? Or just trying to get it out, every now and again. So sure. Those dudes are dusted for sure. We keeping Ye, we keeping Trump. Do we keep Candace?
We keep Candace for right now because I don't know everything about her, and
I think we keep her for now, and hopefully, we can find a reason to dust her ass too.
You people listening and watching, just because we keep them don't mean we like them. Because we are intrigued. We want to put
a disclaimer out there too. Yeah. When we say dust people, we don't want them dead, right? We want them out of the political spotlight. We want them away from the conversation. We want them, not to have an influence on the world. When we dust people, we are trying to remove the negative influences of this world. And amplify a positive, inclusive message. That is the goal here. So I felt that necessary to say, because I certainly don't want anybody to think that we mean harm on anyone. We absolutely do not. Dusting is a metaphor for getting these people out of the limelight, certainly not censoring them, but certainly quelling their influence, their negative influence on the world. And that's just our opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Well, man, another dope episode.
Yeah, we did it again. Yeah. We did it again. For sure. This is a good one, man. I had a good time. We can call this one the Trump party. It was definitely an interesting meeting of the minds.
I kind of wonder what kind of food they were serving at that shit too.
Kentucky Fried Chicken, right? They done with that's collard green. Nah, it was McDonald's. Trump get down with only fast food. So
yeah, for sure.
Ye on like a burger chain or something. It was like In and Out or something like that. Fat burger.
I don't even know, man. Right wing burger, some shit. Yeah.
Right wing burger.
Right.
God damn.
Well, man, man.
Yeah, so for everybody here at Thanos Was Right, the crew, production team, DJ D Will, it's your boy Jay, and I will see you next time. Peace.
Sure. Peace. We out.